welcome to Chat TGR. I'm Dan.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joe.
And I've been in the land of ill.
And you are Dan.
Yes.
We've missed you,
So
we've missed you,
I'm
man.
feeling like you haven't missed me.
we
Yes, we have.
Stockholm syndrome.
That is very funny.
Thank you.
That's
See,
very
'cause you
funny.
miss me.
Yeah.
Miss my
Don't
whip.
touch me, but that's very funny. Okay. So, I had the flu,
You've been a poorly boy.
and I've never experienced anything like it in my life.
We were
It's,
poorly
amazing.
boys, then
We
you
were
were poorly
poorly
boy.
Yeah. So anyway,
Hopefully.
but I'm back.
Plain sailing now. Touch wood.
I'm
Fighting fit.
Good, man.
So everyone, thanks for joining us today. We have Lizzie on the controls again.
Hello.
Yay.
Lots of people says when Zach was covering you, how much they missed you. And Zach hardly cried at all. I was really proud
Got
of
it
him.
down to hours now,
Yeah.
didn't we? Bless him.
Yeah.
Down from days.
Yes. So what we're going to do today, with a bunch of stuff we're going to go through, we've had a whole bunch of new releases. We're going to have a look and chat about the JHS Ross pedals and have a look at that. Of course, any GigRig questions that you've got. Also, I've got something I'm going to run through with you guys. We've had a recurring question from Chris at Custom Pedalboards, and I finally worked it out.
Oh, I know exactly what the question is as well.
Yes, I worked it out.
He's going to fire us live on air, Joe, by the way.
That's
That's what it is.
crazy.
All right,
Can't
so
wait.
let's jump into it. Lizzie, who do we have on?
We've got Hobo Roadie, greetings from Talent, Oregon.
Yo, yo, yo.
Lovely.
Just cousins, hello. Cameron from Kentucky here. Scott Curry, greetings from Boston. Hope Daniel's feeling much better.
Feeling much better, mate. Thank you so much.
And Gav Thorpe says, I'm Dan and I'm wearing all of my clothes.
Yeah,
He comes from Australia. That's why.
did not do any lunges.
Paul Matelovich, Dan, he's alive. Dan is such a trooper. And we've got Andy, so I stopped saying oi oi, and Neil, morning from Berkeley, California.
Lovely.
And lots of
Manner
others.
places.
So, yes,
Lovely.
very nice.
Amazing.
Yes, brilliant. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. All right, very cool. Look, let's jump in and let's start with the Wampler Catacombs. Right. So this is really interesting for a couple of reasons. One of my favorite pedals launched over the past couple of years has been a pedal by Source Audio. Do you know which one I'm talking
Collider?
about? The Collider. That has ended up on so many pedal boards.
Yeah.
It is a brilliant delay and reverb, all in one MIDI controlled thing. It feels to me like this pedal from Wampler is a thing. It's like, hey, we
That,
can do
but
this
expanded.
too.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting about this, Wampler has built a name doing overdrive pedals.
Yeah.
Really great overdrive pedals. Brian Wampler is a super clever guy, and he builds a great overdrive pedal. Their capability sort of changed massively, and they started getting into, different things. They released the first larger format pedal they released was a digital modulation thing, but then they also they released a delay pedal.
Oh, yeah.
Nemesis.
No,
It was
the Wampler.
come on, you got
yeah.
30, you got 2 seconds. That was the Wampler Metaverse.
Yeah.
But they also had the ethereal reverb pedal, and they're really amazing sounding things.
Yeah.
So this is a delay and reverb pedal in one. Of course, it's all MIDI. You got 8 presets directly available from the front, stereo in, stereo out. The specs are insane. So, check this out. You've got like 48K.
Mm-hmm.
You've got obviously the full MIDI and stuff. It's 130 milliamps at 9 volts.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
Nora.
How have
Isn't
they
that
done
amazing?
That's
is
ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah. And they're there's small footprint.
Yeah. Great fun factor.
Yeah, so I think I'm really excited to try this.
Yeah.
I think it's
Does
great.
it have an analog drive-through?
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been an
Yeah. Well,
episode
Brian,
without hearing that phrase, would it?
no. Well, obviously the modulation didn't because you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian knows what's down.
Yeah.
He knows the important stuff. So yeah, it's really, really cool. That's going to be, and that is retails at $299,
Cool.
which is whatever that will end up here at 250 quid or something.
Yeah, that's not a lot for something that
I
powerful,
mean,
is it?
most of the time that's a delay pedal or a reverb pedal of similar spec. So
Exactly.
you need two of them to be able to do what you can do with that one.
Yeah, but what's interesting about the Wampler stuff? Brian is really keyed in to all the big Nashville guys, so they've been all over it,
Yeah,
listening
yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really, really
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
addition.
game changing.
Okay,
Next on the list.
Yes.
Oh man.
Who was expecting this?
Yeah, right. This Behringer have knocked it out the park with their Fuzzbender clone. Like, it sounds insane. It's got the metalwork takes homage to the tone bender shape, but it's smaller.
Right.
And it's like a metal case. It's not plastic. I know some of the older Behringer stuff, it's been plastic in the past. But it's got a switch in the middle that allows it to sort of do like an OG Mark 1, and then I think they call it mod, which makes it like a Mark 2 tone bender. And it sounds insane. And the craziest thing is that it is 50 quid. 50 GBP / dollars.
Which is that's just silly. That's just silly.
Well, yeah. I'm really interested to try it out.
Yeah, as am I.
Yeah, totally.
As am I.
So we'll see. I mean,
I just think it's awesome. We were sort of briefly talking about this before, that it makes stuff, the untouchable stuff, putting it at a price point like that and producing it in that sort of way makes it that anybody can afford it and makes it available to
It's very
anybody.
controversial, but you've got two ways of looking at it, right? Either Behringer is the big bad.
I don't think Behringer are the big bad, but I
don't necessarily
understand.
agree with that, but a lot of people have that opinion.
Yeah.
They're either the big bad or they are giving musicians who have less resources, money, capital, whatever, a chance to play with things that otherwise they would never
Unattainable.
see.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, it brings that unattainable stuff down a little bit, and it kind of encourages people to be creative, and I don't see it as a bad thing.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool. I need to reserve judgment until
Of course,
Of course,
understand,
have a
of course.
play.
Yeah.
But
Because those,
I mean, they've put it in a thing that looks like it.
yeah.
You know,
Because
so
those circuits are very specific, and so you kind of need to experience it to know.
completely.
And, I think a lot of the
Completely.
time that if you get a DIY kit that has that shape of enclosure, you're paying £50 for the enclosure full stop. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that alone.
BV's on. BV moderating today. Hey mate, BV's been reaching out. Going, hey mate,
which
how you
camera you're
doing?
at, so
Bless
point
him.
them both.
And he says, but surprise, surprise, they did steal a Keeley pedal name. That they did.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
You can't
Yes.
win it all.
No,
can
you can't. You can't win something though.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, moving on. The Niisoo.
Yeah, super interesting pedal that I just happened to stumble across on Instagram, to be honest.
Praise
That
the
is-
algorithm.
Plays the algorithm. Bow down to our overlords. So the Niisoo is a multi-filter pedal, but it's just a really interesting take on it. So the filters are created using VCAs, which, if you don't know, is a voltage-controlled amplifier, and you can arrange those. So basically, that gives you 4 poles, which means that it's really syrupy and deep.
Okay.
You've got low pass, band pass, or high pass, and a resonance control. Pretty standard filter stuff. And then you've got the ability you have like a lower frequency and a higher frequency. that you can set between, and then you can set a foot switch to either latch, so it will trigger an envelope,
Right.
and then stay at the higher or lower, depending. There's a little switch so you can go up or down, or momentary, so that you could be playing, it will be off. You push the button and it does it could do like an instant wah thing or like a really slow filter sweep, and then it's got an expression in it as well.
All right.
All analog. I really like the design of it.
I was going to say
The design
aesthetically,
is
I
really
think
cool.
it's gorgeous.
And
I wonder if Thundercat's seen it.
yeah, man.
It feels like something that he would the momentary thing.
Yeah. So
totally.
Niisoo is 4 in the Blackfoot language.
That's not
Native-
soup.
No.
Okay.
Not miso, no.
All right.
In the Blackfoot Native American Indian language, which is the designer's heritage,
Oh, okay.
And
Interesting.
the design is based off of a blanket that is like traditionally used within the Blackfoot culture.
Oh, wow.
which
That
really-
is cool.
It's a really cool
That is very cool.
vibe to it, yeah.
Don't you start coughing. I was
The
coughing. I was
OG
coughing.
cougher.
Yeah. You were coughing before it was cool.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got an expression in, and
Okay.
it's all an analog, and it looks beautiful, and it's just a really clean, cool take on what a filter is, because it kind of gives you that some more of that kind of synth player.
Yeah. Bass players and
Playability.
synths
Yeah.
is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've known me for a decade now.
Yeah,
and
but all bass players that I know, you've got to have an envelope filter. You've got to have some sort of
octave down.
or some synthy moog
Yeah.
type thing.
OC2.
What's that really rubbish pedal that sounds amazing with the cardboard PCB?
Oh, the
Blur.
oh no, I can't remember.
Deep Impact.
Deep Impact, the
version 1 that's a
Akai?
cardboard.
Yeah,
Akai,
Akai Deep Impact.
But
oh man,
whatever they're called, not Red Panda. There's the company that done the Deep Impact, another Deep Impact 2. That's like, it looks like
That's the future Impact, isn't it?
that's the Future Impact. It looks like
A birthday cake.
a birth. You know those really cheap birthday cakes where you can like get a picture.
You and your nan on it.
Yeah,
whatever,
and like photocopied. The V1
You and your
looks
nan.
like
Yeah, it does.
it
You're right.
looks like a birthday
It's got
cake.
like it looks like it's got ice and
Oh,
sugar.
They've
okay.
redone it now and it looks way cooler. But the
Amazing.
the original one, I saw it in the person. It literally looks like, you know,
You've got a H9 birthday cake.
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, you have to have that stuff. That's just something about us bass players that are just obsessed with the synth thing.
Yeah.
I think because there's so many amazing bass lines that are played on key
Yeah,
synth that
yeah.
it just
Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of lends itself.
Awesome. Lots of people sending lots of love. Thanks everyone. Yes, feeling good, man. I normally go and get a flu jab. I didn't this year for whatever reason. It's like, oh, okay. If you haven't got your flu jab this year, whatever this is going around, it's not fun. Anyway, excuse me. Okay.
It's nice knowing you, Jake.
Oh,
Oh.
no.
Fender bass series.
Yeah, and again, really unexpected, really cool. Fender have like dropped these whole series of pedals. You've got compressor, driver, fuzz, delay, and reverb, all in their really small,
Top mounted jacket,
Top-mounted
enclosure
jack.
thing, right? Yeah.
all with 3 dials and 2 switches.
I love the look of those big
yeah.
Fender knobs as well,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
amp knobs on
Yeah.
the pedals. They look so cool.
Yeah. And they're just really simple, really nicely designed, all catered for bass.
That's really cool.
Really nice price point.
Mm.
I can't remember how much they are.
80
to 110. Oh yeah, and the Niisoo, I do apologise, is 299, which is cool. But the really good intro pedals for bass players.
Gav Thorpe says, Joe, have you ever tried the TWA Great Divide?
No, I haven't. I really wanted
Sorry.
one.
Sure, the compressor is loving that.
But
Sorry, I should have sat
Turn
there.
to my hands.
Dan's Cough now available in our merch store.
Do I play guitar better now?
The Great Divide.
Sample it and use it as an IR.
Yeah.
I'm so doing that.
So I don't know if you're familiar with the Great Divide. It's basically the micro bass synth on steroids.
Oh, wow.
Okay, cool.
octave down.
The
to octave
the
up.
EH micro bass.
Yeah. It's that, but on
Because I've
steroids.
clocked that your micro bass synth is back on your board this
It is
week.
back on my board.
I saw that coming out of
This
the...
week because it's
This
so
week.
regular.
Yeah, yesterday actually, I
Yeah,
think.
it's back on my board.
Yeah, he's pulled... Since you've been gone, Dan, he's pulled that back out there.
Because I just love synths.
Yeah,
And
very cool.
Yeah, the Great Divide is great, but I use the Meat Box, which, if you are familiar with, you know, is causes structural damage.
Yeah, I'd say earthquake inducing.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So some bass pedals there.
they're very cool.
Very good. We have a Fuzz.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
on the lines of Fender having a really, really busy week.
Yeah, all of a sudden, like,
Yeah, they've gone, you know what?
because this week,
It's Wednesday.
yeah,
It's Wednesday
this week
already.
really as well. They did all the Jack White stuff as well.
Yeah, they've been
That's
busy
just
in the
happened.
last month. Yeah, they have. So their Hello Kitty Squire guitar has sort of become a bit of a cult following in like metal circles. You know, whack an EMG in that or whatever and play it with your metal band. And they have reissued that guitar, but specifically they've also dropped a fuzz pedal with it, and it sounds insane. Again,
Okay.
it's same sort of format as you were saying with the top mounted jacks and the 3 knobs, and it's in 2 colorways, but it's just like a really cool
Op amp, bass,
spitty,
fuzz.
All right.
sputtery fuzz. But and it's 99 quid.
Yeah.
Again,
Okay.
really cool price point. Looks really nice, really aesthetically done, and it's Hello Kitty.
You were
What more?
all in when you saw
Yeah.
it, though, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to buy 4 of them, run
Yep.
them all in parallel.
Don't tell me you weren't all in when you saw it.
You've already bought one, Dan.
We've all seen that tattoo.
Have you got me for Secret Santa this year?
Are you glad to be back?
I'm all up for good marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I really am, and that's really clever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, yeah,
It's great.
I think it appeals to so many different markets. I think there's a tongue-in-cheek market where it's like, look at this, it's great, and it's got Hello Kitty on it. I think it will appeal to like younger players that's excited from.
Because again,
That
it's
brand.
like the
yeah, for
first
sure.
pedal.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think it's.
But it's a really cool looking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
great. Okay, brilliant, wonderful. We are racing through them a bit today because there's a lot to go through. It's been huge. So this is the next one. The Origin have dropped this pedal called the Deluxe 55, which is, if anyone knows the overdrive pedals and ampy type pedals that Origin do. When what was the massive one that they did?
SVT and Blackface for the bass, and then they did the
I can picture it. I can't remember what it's called. It was big, and then it had a little remote switch so you can control it with as well.
Yeah. But so what they do is they
That's gonna really
pull apart amp
Schematics,
circuits
yeah.
and schematics and recreate them in a pedal form. So it's the most detailed amp in a box you'll ever see. When they dropped the first one, I don't mind
Revival
the
Drive.
Revival Drive. So when they dropped the first Revival Drive, I don't mind a complicated pedal. There was just no way.
Yeah.
1,000 dip switches and things, and I just couldn't. And you get it great, and a little switch would move, and everything would change, and I was way too complicated. They simplified it massively,
And slimmed it down to that small Cali sort of
where you can
platform.
Yeah. So this is a massively simplified deluxe amp in that format, all analog. It sounds wonderful as all their stuff does dialed in right.
Yeah, of course.
What's interesting with this is they've also done a bunch of IRs with it. That if you have an IR loader,
Okay.
you can load in the IRs, set it flat, stop it.
Sorry.
You can set it flat and then run this in.
Yeah, it's
run this
really
into
cool.
it.
Done with all their collection of amps, isn't it?
Have they done like IR based stuff before? Or is that new for them?
No, I think it's new. I think,
it's new.
Again,
At most,
Two
it'll
Rock
be,
have released a
Yes, I
virtual amp
saw
on
that.
UA
Yeah, we
this
haven't
week as
discussed
well.
that. I did see that.
But everyone's doing it. Come on, do the party with me. Everyone's doing it. Anyway, but it's something that I think all amp companies are looking at doing their own versions of
Yeah.
IRs. And it's, I totally get it. It's such a big thing at the moment. You guys use that technology all the time.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
all the cool kids are doing it.
Totally.
So why not? But it's really cool. The Deluxe. So I've got a Laser JJ20, which was my main amp for,
Forever.
Forever. It was for, at least 10 years. It was that and the AC30. And together they were just, everything. That tone hasn't been beat, but I did a thing last experience day. I had my mattress and the ham stood up together.
Okay.
Far out, man. And loud, but gee, it sounded good. But for more reasonable volume levels, the J20 and the box together, incredible. And I love the Deluxe thing. Hearing the sound samples from what Origin have done, I think it sounds incredible. And it is a hard one to get right.
Yeah, man.
Because I must say, all of the digital versions of that amp that I've heard have left me feeling very cold.
Right, sure.
So, I mean, this is the sort of thing that you could plug into a DI box.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, with the, an impulse response for the cabinet.
Yeah.
And you'd be away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think they do a wonderful job of that sorts of things. And to have something that's so focused and so simple to use, I think well done, Origin.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Really, really cool. They're available for £235 around that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So, lots of companies that make tweed style pedals.
Yeah.
All the big ones make them. Wampler and Zvex and True North. There's a bunch of deluxe reverb
In a box,
or deluxe in a box. This is now the one to beat.
Yeah, sure.
They've done a wonderful
Well,
job.
Origin never do anything by half, do they?
No, agreed.
Man, they're amazing.
Agreed.
They're amazing. Cool. Okay.
Any questions, any comments, any abuse?
No, deep impact was made by Akai. Yes, that's right. So, why we laugh when we talk about that pedal? The V1, the circuit board was a piece of cardboard that had the tracks printed on. And if it's like, especially in the UK, a little bit of moisture in the air, the cardboard swells and cracks all of the tracks on the PCB.
Rig,
they just die. They just impossible to fix them.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's it's the best sounding, worst made pedal ever.
It literally is
agreed.
the worst made pedal of all time. Like, who thought cardboard was a good idea?
Yeah. Yes. Cool. Let's see.
We have got one question.
Yes.
From Neil. He has said, I just bought a doubler from you, which arrived very quickly.
Great.
Interested in tonal difference between using a charge pump in a pedal versus a voltage doubler.
Okay. So, a charge pump. If there's a charge pump in the design of the pedal, what that means is it's changing the voltage internally. So, if you plug 9 volts in, it will take that voltage and the charge pump will increase it to whatever voltage the designer has decided the pedal needs to be at. And there's all different sorts of charge pumps, and some things are called charge pumps that aren't actually charge pumps. But the idea is that it will take the voltage in and increase it. Now, if you've got a charge pump in a pedal, changing the voltage at the input of the pedal, you shouldn't do it. But theoretically, it won't make any difference because whatever the voltage is, it'll be regulated at the input, and so the charge pump can only see a certain voltage at the input, and then produce whatever voltage is required, at whatever current is required. Obviously, let's say, for example, you double the voltage, then you halve the current. But most of the things that use charge pumps generally don't require a whole lot of current. The difference with a pedal that can take an increased voltage at the input. So talking of Origin, the Origin Cali 76 is a good example. You can drastically change the tone of that compressor by using 18 volts instead of 9 volts.
Yeah, that's night and day
and it
difference.
literally increases the arousal where things compress. Now, is night and day difference? Is it better or worse?
No.
It's just
It will
opinion.
compress
Different,
less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that depends on the context.
Exactly. And it's interesting thing for me with the compressor. People are going, I love this compressor, but I love the sound of it on 18 volts. It's like, okay, great. It's because it's compressing less.
Do you like it? Yeah.
You're
less
literally
compression.
adding more headroom and before the compression starts to kick in. Things like the OCD.
Yeah, that will run at 18.
That will run at 18
Yeah.
volts and it has a drastic effect. Like my favorite chorus pedal, the modern day chorus pedal, is the Analog Man chorus.
Yeah.
Run specifically at 15 volts. 18 volts is too much. 9, 12 volts, not quite enough. 15 volts is perfect. So, but if there was a charge pump inside that chorus, then it wouldn't,
Yeah.
the input voltage
it
wouldn't
wouldn't
matter
change.
because it'll be regulated. And it says, well, as long as the regulation, the input of the regulation can handle the voltage, it's like, well, don't really care what you're giving me. I'm going to regulate it at this
is
voltage
what
for
I'm putting
the
through.
charge pump. So
I guess the
That's
only
the
thing that
difference.
might change is you might get slightly more current if you were just changing the voltage based on the idea of voltage being doubled or it not being fully doubled. But if the pedal
but
is
if
only
you-
using a tiny amount of current,
yeah,
then it doesn't
sure.
matter.
It's like if you look at the back of like Hampstead pedals, it'll tell you if you're
Yeah.
using 9 volts, you'll
Yeah.
use this much current.
Yeah.
If you're using 18 volts, 24 volts, it'll use this much current. So yeah. Again, if changing voltage at the input of pedals can be a fun thing to try, but I always go back to if the designer has designed this pedal
Yeah.
at 9 volts to sound like this, unless they have specifically said, by the way, you can try different voltages, don't do it. Because, you can destroy
It's
the
a
pedal.
Yeah, it's a slightly different thing, but I rewatched the episode of TPS with Noel Gallagher the other day, and he makes a really interesting point when he's talking about using presets on pedals, and he discusses like the hours and hours it takes for someone to dial that in, and why do you he does it in his Noel Gallagher way of being like, so why do you think it needs less top end or whatever? But I've never thought about it like that, and I thought it's a really interesting point that if it's set up to sound that way,
Then that's
yeah.
the way it is,
Yeah,
exactly,
Or
yeah.
what's, the
certainly use that point using
Yeah.
the presets. It
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
like
yeah.
almost
Yeah,
a
yeah.
basic thing to do, right? That you're
Yeah,
being
yeah.
lazy going, that'll do. But actually, some engineers work really hard to
Yeah,
design
yeah.
that sound. I think it's a really
I
valid
know
point.
you're a massive John Mayer fan.
I am, yeah. Not as big
And-
as you, of course,
and
but
there is that the pedal that it's like got the drum machine and stuff in it. What's that pedal called? I had it, and
The
then
Beat
I opened
Buddy?
my mouth and it went no.
I think I know the one you're on about. I remember it on a rig we did. Do you remember we did a rig for a guy that I feel like demoed for PRS guitars, and he had like a pedal with a drum machine built in that you could do demo stuff for?
The Adrenaline.
Yeah,
Justin
the Adrenaline.
Shalbono,
Right,
thank you,
yeah,
mate.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Adrenaline. There's a song that your mate, who you love very much,
Not as much as you.
plays, and it's just a preset in the Adrenaline.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, case in point. If it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Adrenaline 2,
Yeah.
someone was saying. Yeah, so there you go.
Or you like Van Halen and you've just got the sound of your Ferrari.
Yeah. Oh, there's an amazing clip on YouTube of the guy from Blur, Gorillaz frontman.
Oh, Damon
Damon
Albarn.
Albarn, who's who goes through
Yeah, I've seen it. It's with Zane Lowe. He's doing one of the Apple podcast things with Zane Lowe. You're right, and it's the it's a drum sample from
one of the Gorillaz tune.
do da da ba da. What's the song called?
Someone's put "I Don't Trust Myself." That's the tune. Is that what they're on about?
No, I don't think it is.
Sorry.
I don't think it is. You know the Gorillaz tune that you're not feel gooding the other one that you know what I'm about. Yeah, but you're right.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, of course,
it's
yeah.
but it's just a preset
sure.
on this.
It's a preset, and he
Amazing.
plays it, and the guy loses
Yeah,
his
Zane
mind.
Lowe's
amazing.
like
Amazing.
my
It's
life's a
hilarious.
lie. Yeah,
Yeah, but anyway, so
yeah.
yeah, I mean presets are great and fun.
Yeah, we've got on tangent a bit, but
We did. Okay.
Yeah, going
so-
back to the question, Neil said, great explanation. Thanks, gents.
You're so
Stress.
welcome. So welcome.
Anything
Okay.
else?
Oh, Origin effects are on. Thanks for the
Hi.
kind words on the Deluxe 55. You're welcome, guys.
Hi, friends.
Yeah, big
Legends.
fans and love what you do. Thank you for going to that place where just thank you for giving a shit. Well, but you know what I mean. They actually
Yeah.
care
Unbelievable.
about getting it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything they do.
Yeah.
Born out of passion.
I tell you, because it doesn't feel like a cash grab.
Yes.
Sure.
Where so much stuff now, and that's looking at the Hello Kitty stuff and that sort of, it's all cool.
Yeah.
But to me, so much of it just feels like a cash grab, and it's it is a lot of pedal stuff at the moment is leaving a foul taste in my mouth. Maybe I shouldn't be eating it, but it does. Silicon. It does feel sometimes.
Yeah, I get what you
know,
mean. And
sorry for the sweary, but
No, but that makes sense because like Origin, whenever they release a product, it feels fully formed. It feels
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're
completely.
doing it because they love the thing that they are
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
no, it's very cool. It's very
agree.
cool. Okay, so
We've got one more.
moving right
to
along.
discuss.
Yes, okay. Before we jump into the big JHS thing, the Walrus Audio Voyager. This is a Mark II. So the original Voyager is a Klon style pedal.
really.
I know.
How rare.
The Mark II has a separate foot switch that kicks in a mid-range that you can tweak.
Cool.
Like
Which is a very
parametric
cool
mid-range.
idea.
It's a great idea. And you've got a selector switch for 5 different diode combinations.
Cool.
Walrus Audio stuff sounds great. There's a few of their overdrive pedals I love. I love their projector overdrive.
Yeah.
The
385.
38, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a glorious sounding thing. I'm really keen to try the new Mako Mark II series with the analog drive-through. I think that's going to be amazing. But I remember really liking the original,
done right.
the original Voyager, and it
More
this
more.
is more exactly more is more. So that's really cool. There's been a bunch of other things, but we're going to jump into this
Yeah.
thing. So the big announcement this week from Josh at JHS is that they are discontinuing the Ross
Bye, Ross.
series of pedals.
They-
So a couple of really interesting things about this. This is the 5th time
Yeah, I know.
that the Ross pedals have been relaunched.
Yeah, right.
5th. So they came out in 1977. Interesting thing, lots of people think that the MXR Dynacomp is a take on the Ross comp. It's not. The MXR,
Is it actually not?
MXR came
I
first.
thought it was.
Really?
MXR came first. The Ross comp is
So you
it's
have
sort
it
of
there.
based on the MXR, but it's more complicated. There's a lot more
Right.
stuff in it. But all the
So the egg came first.
Yeah, the egg absolutely came first. But the Keeley comp is a version of the Ross comp. The Analog Man is a version of the Ross. Lots of the big
Yeah.
successful clone
Yeah.
compressors were clones
Came
of the
from
Ross.
that. Yeah.
It's a cool design. I mean, personally, I much prefer the Dynacomp.
Sure.
But the Ross and MXR. It does feel like there's a type there, but
There's definitely a
they're not.
crossover.
Yeah.
Like whether intentionally
But
or
so
not.
the distortion, the distortion plus all the, there's definitely parallels there. But this is a brand that Josh loved, and he went through a period sort of before COVID of looking to relaunch a bunch of vintage brands.
It's a really cool concept.
Yeah, I think Josh. So I think Josh is a romantic.
Yeah,
and he, he's taught so many of us a lot of the history of pedals, and when he sees these great sort of
behemoths,
absolute, yes,
hands,
absolute
waving,
absolute, yeah. Well, they are
chopping.
They are stalwarts of tone, right? And he wants to see, because JHS became such a big brand in the pedal industry, and he thought that he could, So, really interesting about the Ross pedals. When they launched, like within the launch, he sold like 4,500 on launch day or whatever it was, which is massive, right? And the way that JHS do everything in house, and they're very efficient at making pedals. So, 4,500 is great. And then the following few months, they sold another 1,000. 2023, they were looking at their numbers and thinking the whole year they sold like 330.
333, exactly. Yeah.
And it was like, so this is really interesting. There's a dilemma when it comes to a brand owning multiple brands. And I had this conversation with George Trips, actually. George Trips, who worked for Line 6 and MXR, and like one of their head designers for Way Huge.
Did the carbon copy.
Yeah. And the conversation was, when you design something, how do you know what brand you're going to put under?
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, yeah, so that's interesting. It says it's just a feel, you sort of get a gut feel for where this is going to, and that's what it is. It comes down to.
Sure.
Josh had plans to relaunch a whole bunch of different brands.
He said one of them he'd gone as far as it was like done.
Yeah. And I was at one of the get-togethers for one of these things, and it's super interesting. And again, because Josh wants to, these amazing brands that Josh feels so connected to. But the problem is, you imagine when Josh, he really knows how to design a pedal. He's a great guy, but Josh is a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Right? So if you think of the Ross launch and how incredible that's been for them. It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And then, 4,500 sales. Bang.
Yeah.
Great. That's done. Now we're going to move on to something else. And then you come back and it's like, oh, we've sold less than 10% of what we did on launch. Because unless you are continually marketing something...
Of course, then people forget.
People will forget.
Yeah.
And you hand it over to the retailers, and the retailers are not marketing for you.
Of course, they've got a million other things to push.
Exactly.
And the only thing they push is the latest thing, and then the next thing comes along, because of course, that's what they do.
Yeah. And as soon as that massive marketing thing is gone, on the next one. We have no memory, and we can only now remember that we've been turned into goldfish.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's also because there's so many new things that appear constantly.
It's incredible.
All the stuff that came out a year ago is like pushed to the back.
Yep, completely.
And like a parallel conversation. There's a lot of artists discussing doing more EPs and singles opposed to doing an album again. For that same concept. If you go away and you write an album for like 3-4 years, that album cycle takes that long. People listen to it 2 or 3 times, like, cool, what's next?
Yeah.
Whereas if you do smaller releases, trickle in singles or EPs or whatever, you can.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Hobo Roadie, g'day mate. He says marquee brands. Yes, marquee brands. So what's happened is Josh has said, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
This Friday, I think he's got 3,500 left in stock.
Like that. Yeah.
So he's going to knock them all out for like $79.
Yeah, and he said that his cost price, I think, was like
$76.50.
Yeah,
so it's like
exactly.
$2.50 more than cost price. It is, I mean, he's going to sell 3,500 pedals in 10 minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're great pedals. We've got all of them at TPS, and I've tried them all. I think they sound great. I really like the Distortion Plus. I thought that sounded really good. They're brilliant. But the problem comes in, like, JHS pedals, he's done a few absolute corkers. My favourite was the Lucky Cat delay.
Sure, man.
The original Pink Panther.
Yeah. Amazing.
That delay sounds freaking wild.
The colour box was top tier as
yeah,
well.
color box.
I struggled with the colour box.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I struggled with it. I think there's a new version of it now.
Yeah, it's
but I struggled with all the different headroom levels and stuff, and just trying to get that color box. The
Straight to
like
desk.
I preferred the. There's a couple of things that did that I preferred. One of them being the Benson, and the thing sort of that sort of desk fuzz type thing. But I know that lots of producers use them as a preamp for different things, so it's cool. But there's a few things that Josh had done. I think it's great. I mean, man, the Morning Glory is still a killer sounding overdrive. So I think it's right that Josh puts that energy back into the JHS brand, and because imagine if there was the Ross plus another 2 brands that he brought back to life, and he's trying to market and sell
all of that, and
all of that.
then JHS as well.
It's just impossible.
Yeah.
He is unfortunately one man.
Yeah.
Well, he's got an amazing team, but he is, he has. I'm not going to say he's reinvigorated the pedal market, but what he's done is he's brought a fresh take of education.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And it's very interesting looking at the JHS thing, because years ago, before Josh had done a YouTube channel or anything, I picked Josh up from the airport when he came out and took him to Oxford, because he'd never been. He wanted to go and have a pint at the Eagle and Child, because he's a massive Tolkien fan. And then we filmed with him, and in the original GigRig, Josh came there, and I think this is before he'd even started Instagram. He'd just done some really cool things, and he was so into it, and it was like, it was cool. But what I'd underestimated with Josh is, and I think a lot of what Josh has done for a lot of pedal builders is show them, actually this marketing thing is really important.
Oh, 100%.
If you look at the Not-A-Clon marketing,
Just unbelievable.
it is the best marketing for any pedal that has ever been launched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And is it the best sounding Clon reproduction? No. Is it the best sounding Clon reproduction for £100?
Yeah.
Absolutely, no question.
Yeah.
But there's a saying going that says the best known beats the best.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And what Josh is great at is getting those things out there and getting them known.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. And And I think, all of his stuff is solid and it sounds really great.
Yeah.
So putting that energy back into
JHS
the JHS thing. And because if you look at their launches lately, they've done a signature version, a signature overdrive with, I can't pronounce his name, Larry Bastilia, the
picture of the pedal.
This Brazilian guitar player. She's amazing. They've done the new delay pedal,
flight,
the
delay.
new version of the color box.
Yeah,
I mean they're so capable of just knocking it out of the park. That's great. They're obviously the YouTube channel is massive. They're about to hit 500,000.
Wow.
There is what Josh has got. He's not only a great pedal designer, but being a creative person, he's also got a really screwed on head for business.
100%, yeah.
And that is a really hard thing to do. That's what I struggle with that. I have never really considered everything that we design here. It's always been around a moment of insanity, and complete joy, and then it's like hyping on that for the next 12 months, trying to get it done. But it's like actually, GigRig now it's not I mean, it's still a small company.
Yeah.
But there's 10 people here, and we're, everyone's working real hard, and it's not a hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a proper thing. So it's like, okay.
Speaking about,
yes,
I'm just, if I may, going to bring us around because we are coming towards the end and we've got a couple of questions.
Yes, absolutely. Larry Basilio, thank you, Marty. I appreciate that.
So we've got Scott Curry. Can the El Paso be used with other power sources as long as they are isolated like Voodoo Lab?
You don't need them to be isolated even. The El Paso will do the isolation for you. Now, excuse me. The thing with the El Paso is that was designed originally to do let me get this right. There was a 15-volt radial tube drive pedal.
Yeah.
And we designed it to power that thing. That had a 2.5mm center positive input. So
weak.
Yeah, so the El Paso has a 2.5 volt center positive output. Maybe that's something we should look at.
Doing
modding all the El Paso so it's center negative 2.1.
Yeah.
Because you can't get a 2.5.
No, you can't.
To a 2.1.
Well, you can actually, and we do sell.
Not the other way.
You don't do 2.5.
Not 2.5 to 2.1. You can do 2.1 to 2.5. You can't do the other way.
You can go bigger. You can't go smaller.
Okay.
You can't. I mean,
so all right. So
I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah. So maybe we should.
Maybe we should see if
maybe we should look at that. Because we do have
Laura, if you're watching,
we've got a bunch of El Pasos. Oh, it's actually it's not Laura I'm worried about. It's Claire.
Yeah.
But so yes, you don't need an isolated supply. In other words, you could power an El Paso off a daisy chain. The El Paso is the thing that will do the isolation.
Just needs enough current and it'll be fine.
Needs enough current. But if you're like talking about the Analog Man chorus, and bi-chorus is the one that I use. If you're powering that, I mean, what's that, like 15 milliamps? You don't need, it's not a lot of current. You need to be able to provide the El Paso. Like to do that, you're probably looking at 50 milliamps maybe.
Yeah, about that.
So yeah, that will work great.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Thank you. I've got one question here, Dan. I don't know if you... I don't want to brag. I actually know the answer to.
No, go on.
Because it's nothing technical.
Here we go.
No, Jamal has just said, any Black Friday deals, looking to grab a bunch of GigRig items, just trying to figure out when to pull the trigger. And I just wondered if you'd like me to quickly run through our festive offers.
Yes, go on then.
Are available.
And these are available now, though, right?
They're live. So
these are live now.
I'm loving
We're not going to do... We're going to do a...
We need a camera on Lizzie. People need
we're doing a... This is, through all November And, you know, we've just put them up on the site because obviously we're in the UK and we want to make sure that for Christmas, if you've ordered something, like if you order a G3 now, you're guaranteed to get it for Christmas.
Yeah.
But we just want to make sure that for all of our friends in the US and for everywhere all over the world, that for the festive holiday season, anything that you order from us will get to you. So yes, do go on, Lizzie.
Oh,
Offers
thank
included.
you. So we are doing a G3 Atomus bundle in which you get the generator, MIDI Synco, and you also get the option for some exclusive discounts, which are on Gen X, Humdinger, or Remote Loopy 2. And we then
That's
have
for all G3s, right?
Yes,
G3,
yeah.
G3S, Atoms, all G3s have that offer.
the whole G3 range. And then we've got the Gen X bundle in which you get a pedalboard kit. So you get a little branded storage pouch, some snips, cable
I love
ties,
those
and
little
mounts.
pouches.
The little pouches are great.
Yeah.
The snips are my favourite thing.
Yeah.
But there's, and I'll tell you why. If you're doing so, the pedalboard kit that comes with the Gen X 14, you get the standoffs, you get the cable ties, but the snips are the snips that snip absolutely flat. So once you've done the cable tie up, you snip the side of the
Yeah, and
cable
does it
tie,
flush?
and it's flush.
Do you know when we discovered those?
As a cyclist came in.
No, it was Chris from I can't
He's a
remember
cyclist,
his
though.
He's a
YouTube channel.
cyclist.
He's a
Yeah,
cyclist.
He had those in his cyclist kit.
Chris from
the pedal stories, is that his thing? You did an interview with him at one point.
Oh, yes,
Chris
of course.
Prescott.
Chris Prescott.
Yeah, and like, literally, I remember him leaving. He was like, "Oh, by the way, you like always talk about not cutting a cable tie flush and snagging like your knuckles on it, or whatever." Which I
and then
hilariously got annoyed
presented
cut there.
and then presented us with
yeah,
them. We were
pulled
like,
them out, and
"Oh,
they're
world
incredible."
has changed."
So yeah, sorry.
So yeah, you need
They're
that because you
incredible.
can cut them
Yeah.
flush, and
I
that's
get passionate about
Yeah,
snips.
yes.
No, and just also some nanotape. And
Yes.
that is the end.
So the nanotape is really interesting. It's
crazy.
It's the new way I'm attaching things to my pedalboard,
Same.
and I'm not using Velcro anymore.
It's like
So that's
It's
that's
it's
cool.
like see-through goo, isn't
Matt
it?
Herman says, Dan, have you ever played the MXR Phase 99? If so, what did you think? Looking forward to seeing you at TPS a couple of weeks. So, Matt, I'm assuming you're coming to an experience day. So
The
that's
idea
awesome, man.
They
that
just
Dan
come in.
hasn't tried every phaser in existence.
Of course, I've tried the MXR Phase 99. So, the Phase
Tried.
99 is a it gives you the option of switching between Phase 90 and Phase 45, and it's really, really cool.
That math doesn't add up. 90 and 45.
No, it doesn't, does it?
That's not
No.
mathing. That math.
Let me see if I can make
That's
it
not
work.
math.
Okay. I think the new MXR phases sound fantastic. When they first came out,
Was there electricity then?
there was no, you could play them, but you had someone on a bike
Sure, I
riding a
thought so.
little thing
That
behind
was
you
the
to get them going.
16th day. World was made in 7. That
On-
was 16th.
Oh wow!
So when they first came out, MXR did some reissues, and there was a couple that I thought they did a good job on, a couple I thought that they did a terrible job on. But my favourite reissue they did was the Phase 45.
Right.
I thought they nailed that. I was really disappointed with the Dynacomp. Just being a massive Dynacomp fan, and I've got all of them. I've got the first issue, Bud Box. It's the best sounding compressor ever. And then when I saw that release, this is back when I was writing for Guitar Buyer, back in
18.
it's a long time ago. But after that, they started releasing the other issues, and the EVH version came out, which sounded fantastic. And I think the Phase 99 is a killer sounding phaser. Yes. So there we go. Lucky Lex says, do you know the other possible collab Josh did name? Yes, I do. And I shan't name them as he did not name them. Okay, so I'm just going to finish this. We've only got a few minutes left. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Yeah, this is
Dan's
awesome.
back.
It's great. We had a question from a guy that does pedalboards, Chris from Custom Pedalboards,
Oh yeah.
and about how he can. In G2, we had a movable. The
Volume loop.
insert loop was movable and included the post gain in. And it was a way, because we didn't have a stereo amplifier, it was a way that you could use stereo effects and put the post gain before the stereo effects and feed a signal into them. Now with G3, we have a true stereo amplifier on the outputs that does trails and all that sort of stuff. But what Chris used to do was he'd put a humdinger in that loop and use that for his dry, and then do a wet, dry, wet, and then use the post gain to control the thing. So I've come up with a solution.
Do it.
See all G3 users, see if you can follow me. Guitar goes into loop 1.
I'm lost.
Return.
Sorry, I'm gone.
Guitar, loop 1, return.
Right.
Yep.
Then you have a loop for your humdinger. Right, whatever, let's say the loop is, let's say you've got stereo effects in 12, 11, 10, and 9. So let's say loop 8 is the split.
Okay, yeah.
Send from loop 8 goes back to the input of G3.
Oh, no, he didn't.
No, you're not.
Behave.
The send from loop 1
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
goes into your volume pedal.
Yeah.
Out of your volume pedal, into the humdinger. Out of the humdinger, back into the return from loop 8.
That's illegal.
You're now moved the pre-gain.
Dude, that's very clever.
The pre-gain to the input, so you can move the pre-gain around and you can use the pre-gain
agreed.
feed to feed that.
If this was a noughties
Sounds
movie,
very
you'd
much.
be the hacker guy with the glasses on, the cap back.
I'm in the mainframe.
Dude, that's
Well
very
done.
clever.
That's very good.
Thank
You
you.
should get ill more often. I don't mean that. Wow, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah,
There you
go on, mate.
There you go. So that will do it.
The man's back.
There we go.
The man is
Have
back.
you let Chris know, or are you just hoping he's watching
I
this?
know, because what happened was,
No. I know a way.
If you support us, then you'll know Chris.
yeah, I didn't. But he'd posted on Pedalboards of Doom.
yeah.
Pedalboards of Doom, which has just now hit like 170,000 members or something. I mean, it's amazing.
So many
he
nerds.
posted on that, and I replied to him on that.
Dude, that's baffling.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but that will Chris, that will sort you out. Wow. There we go. Anything else? Lizzie, before we head?
We can do one final question, which is DMK75. What do you guys think of mega rigs like the Edge from U2?
I'm
Like
30
the Edge.
next year, and my lower back already can't take it. Full stop.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
No.
So what do I think of mega
very
rigs?
cool.
I
went and saw David Gilmour
Did you?
at the Albert Hall.
Who?
Who
Who's
had
he
a,
play
oh,
for?
by the way,
Guns
massive
N' Roses.
congrats to
Hand.
no, far out,
me.
man.
Bottle.
No,
Congratulating me.
no, to Rick Beato,
Oh,
who has scored an interview with David Gilmour.
yeah.
So as far as
Craziness.
YouTubers are concerned and all interviews are
That
concerned,
is the ceiling.
Rick has won.
Yeah, that is the ceiling. I
Rick
agree.
play.
has
Fair
won.
play.
Yeah.
So I went and saw David, and he had a mega rig, and he sounded wonderful. I think they're great. I mean,
My thoughts is everything is valid if it helps you be creative. And if you need something that's the size of Millennium Falcon and you're using everything and that inspires you, then that's awesome.
Yep.
And I think it's ultimately not one size fits all.
Yeah. Agreed.
Even
If
look
it-
at the conversations we have between, the
Yeah,
size
yeah.
of our rigs
Yeah.
in here alone.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I think if it inspires you, I mean, obviously the Edge as an example, rig is gargantuan.
It is a
But
small
when you
city.
watch those rig rundowns, he uses everything.
Yeah,
and that's
and
unashamedly, unmistakably
Yeah,
his
yeah.
thing.
So I don't see how that can't be valid if it's used creatively.
Totally.
Put it this way. There's what we were talking about before about I call it the race to the bottom,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
where everyone is looking for cheaper, faster, smaller, and that's all cool. And we can do it cheaper, faster, smaller if we then go digital and use processing, which is getting cheaper and faster and smaller, and all cool. Because that stuff fills in, it ticks a box. I'm trying to do a shipping thing at the moment for an artist that I'm helping out, just getting an amplifier into Europe at the moment.
Yeah.
The Carne and all
Minefield.
that stuff. Far out, man. They've made it so difficult. Thank you, Brexit. Whereas if you stick one of these things in your backpack and go there,
Yeah. Rent a camper on the other side, and you got a USB stick or whatever.
so
nowadays.
I totally get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it. However, I've got the best sounding original Budbox Dynacomp compressor I've ever heard. I want to use that.
Of course, yeah.
I've got real tape delays that don't sound like anything else I've ever heard, that I've spent years trying to find.
Yeah, man.
I've got a specific valve overdrive from Kingsley, and I've got, blah, blah, blah. As all of us spend time on this journey, even like you guys with your hybrid rigs, but there are things that you've got that you wouldn't not use.
Yeah, totally. Man.
Yeah, totally.
Now, not to say that you couldn't find models of things like that in the camper, and just, but you don't.
Yeah.
Because you've said, no, this is I really like
this.
this.
Yeah, it's a very, very
and
valid point,
it's how much of that. Where do you compromise?
Totally.
Of course.
And if you've got, like I've got champagne taste beer budget, but if you've got champagne taste champagne budget, and you don't need to compromise,
Exactly.
then don't. There's
the Edge is not worried about having flying an overweight
no
pedalboard the same way that.
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, horses are courses, but I love seeing a rig where someone has gone with all my years of experience and playing. These are the things that I've
Cherry
discovered
pick
that I
what you
connect
want.
with,
Yeah,
and
totally.
I want to use them.
Totally.
And that is everything that we do here.
Yeah, for sure.
And we
100%.
can where you need to, we'll build rigs with all the digital stuff, and it's fantastic. And we can build rigs that have racks and stuff that we'll
Size of a
fine
booth.
tooth exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all good. It's all good.
You heard it
Rigs are
here
cool.
first. It's all
Rigs
good.
There we
are
go.
Cool.
All
Brilliant. Well,
rigged.
there we
Cool.
listen. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us. This is great. Yeah, really, really awesome. Any questions? Just let us know. Again, thank you, BV. Really
Legend.
awesome.
Legend.
Yeah, it's just so cool to hang out and just nerd out. Like
Bunch of nerds
maximum
being
nerds.
Maximum
It's
nerd.
really great.
Bunch of nerds being a bunch
Really
of
great.
nerds.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, Linesman. Thank you,
Lizzie.
Ball Boys.
Bye.
And we'll see you next week.
Health
Bye.
providing.